What's good, and welcome into the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Senior. Hope all of you had a fantastic weekend. Appreciate all of you for making today's show a part of your day. On today's show, a lot to get to and unpack. Jeremy Fowler reporting over the weekend that the Carolina Panthers have checked in on Jimmy Garoppolo. Has Trey Lance been told he's the guy? And no OTAs for Deebo Samuel, as OTAs do start for San Francisco coming up on Tuesday. But we begin today's show with the latest on Jimmy Garoppolo. By the way, thanks to all of you for helping us surpass 58,000 subs. If you want free daily videos, just hit that red subscribe button down below. We begin with that Jeremy Fowler report that the Panthers have checked in on Jimmy Garoppolo as well as Baker Mayfield, two quarterbacks who have not been moved yet, but could they be moved in the lead up to the NFL draft? Also, Albert Breer over the weekend kind of saying that the Carolina Panthers might not go quarterback at number 6 overall in the NFL draft. Instead, they could go offensive tackle. We know that they're probably not going to move forward with Sam Darnold as the starting quarterback. So could that open up a realistic avenue in which the Panthers go after Jimmy Garoppolo if the health stuff checks out, or maybe Baker Mayfield? So here's what Fowler said on Garoppolo. The market hasn't been overly hot right now, largely because of Garoppolo's shoulder surgery. Teams don't know when he'll be able to throw. It might be later in the summer. We've mentioned the Panthers earlier in relation to Baker Mayfield as well. They've done their homework on Garoppolo too, though. They've looked at all options, and Garoppolo is one of those options. Now, it's fascinating from a roster construction standpoint that if the 49ers were to trade away Jimmy Garoppolo, it would open up so many opportunities for the Niners to build out this roster, sign Nick Bosa, sign Deebo Samuel, and allocate money elsewhere. Because by trading Jimmy G, the 49ers would go from last in the NFL in salary cap space all the way to second. And that's what happens when you clear about $27 million off your salary cap. And that's why a lot of the fans in the faithful, in the Niner gang, in the Niner empire have grown frustrated with the inability to move Jimmy Garoppolo and the lack of movement for him this offseason, and the lack of clear messaging that sends then to Trey Lance as he tries to embark on a second year in the NFL, in which he only started 2 games last year, and he wants to lock down that starting role. Now, it all comes down to health for Jimmy Garoppolo at the end of the day. I thought it was really weird how he handled that shoulder surgery. He didn't talk to the team about going under the knife and getting that operation. The 49ers ideally would have wanted him to get that shoulder operation after the year. Instead, him and his agent Don Yee didn't tell the Niners about their plans, and they waited until a couple of weeks after the year to get that surgery, and that directly impacted his trade value, and that scared other teams off because you're talking about a quarterback who already isn't the most physically gifted. Yes, he has intangibles, but lacks elite arm strength. He's been injury prone throughout his NFL career, and now he's injured yet again and has shoulder surgery on his throwing shoulder. So as the Carolina Panthers look at Baker Mayfield, they look at Jimmy Garoppolo, that is the last-ditch effort for San Francisco to make a Jimmy G trade, because I don't think the Seattle Seahawks are realistic as a Garoppolo destination, and the Carolina Panthers the lone team that is a Garoppolo destination and would make sense up to this point from an offensive scheme point, and them wanting to move on from Sam Darnold and going after a better option, more gifted player in Baker Mayfield, some pedigree, and a lot of wins with Garoppolo. That's what Matt Rule needs to do in Carolina, because right now he is firmly entrenched on that hot seat. So I want to ask you this question. Do you think that clearing $27 million off the 49ers salary cap is a good idea in order to sign Deebo Samuel? If so, hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. You're probably like, of course that's a good idea. Well, if that's the case, then hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. This photo did surface on social media over the weekend. Garoppolo recently underwent shoulder surgery. Looks as though my man's doing just fine. Not in a sling. Looked as though he just came off the golf course here and decided after hitting the range and after hitting the golf course in the nice golf attire to go to Hooters. He posed with a waitress at Hooters in this picture right here over the weekend. Garoppolo, get healthy. I like you. I like what you've done in San Francisco. You took over at a tricky time for this franchise early in the Kyle Shanahan era. You won a lot of games, 2 NFC championship games over 3 years, a Super Bowl appearance back in 2019. But my man, it's time to move forward with Trey Lance, and I hope San Francisco does do that. In a few minutes around the corner on today's show, OTAs for the Niners starting on Tuesday in Santa Clara. According to ESPN's Adam Schefter, Deebo Samuel not expected to report because he wants a new contract. But first, has Trey Lance been told that he is the guy and not Garoppolo to be the team's starting quarterback in 2022? We talked about this back a couple weeks ago. Now further clarification and reporting that Lance, the communication from the Niners is that he is going to be QB1. And all throughout this offseason, he's been putting in that work. We talked about the fact that Lance was working out with Ray McCloud, Jawan Jennings, and Brandon Aiyuk. But the consistent theme is that his workout partner, who's been flanked to his right and left during these offseason workouts, has been Brandon Aiyuk. And that's a big reason why I've said I think Aiyuk is going to break out here in 2022 as a more complete wide receiver, working off the momentum that he established from the middle part of last year on with what he was able to do in some really impressive performances. But also, I think he's going to become a more well-rounded wide receiver because he's going to be more of a vertical deep threat in this offense because Trey Lance has the vertical element to his passing game and Garoppolo did not. It's awesome to see that Lance has been grinding, has been hustling, has been embarking on these offseason workouts with Brandon Aiyuk to his side. That connection could be a lethal one this upcoming season, which would be great for this offense because it's Aiyuk, Samuel, George Kittle, everybody working flawlessly in this offense led by Kyle Shanahan. Could be fireworks here this upcoming season. As for that report about Lance being told that he's the guy, that also came from Jeremy Fowler, who continues to look as though he's tapped into the inner workings of this organization this offseason. Trey Lance has been working out in the Bay Area, Fowler reported. I'm told that he's got indications, at least informal indications from the team, that he'll be the guy next year. He's set to be that. Now, whether that means that they would still keep Garoppolo and that could change the dynamic, possibly, but right now, Lance is going to be the starter. And it's time to allow Trey Lance to shine. Trey Lance has so much upside from a physical sense, great size, great arm strength, great mobility to his game. I thought we really were able to see some growth and some steps that he took just within the 2 starts that he made, and that's why I'm really intrigued by the idea of Lance being a starter. I think he could burst onto the scene this year, and because of all the weapons at his disposal, because he has Kyle Shanahan in his headset, because he has Trent Williams blocking his blind side, because this Niners defense is loaded along the defensive front, really good at that linebacking core, improved in the secondary. He has good complementary pieces around him, a very good foundation beneath him. I don't think that he should feel a lot of the pressure because he has so many talented people around him and an organization that is supporting him. And because of that, and because of the raw ability, I think Lance could have a monster season. He just needs to work out the kinks. He needs to work out the inexperienced aspect of his game. And how is he able to do that? How is he able to flatten out some of the wrinkles in his game? Because he is a raw prospect and he's only 21 years old. He does that with getting every single rep throughout OTAs, which he's going to get, throughout training camp, which is what he's going to get because of that Garoppolo injury. And if that is the case, then I think Lance will be able to work on some of those flaws and weaknesses and burst onto the scene here in 2022. Speaking of 2022, if you could go with the starter, who would you go with? And I want you to be honest with me. You want to rip me in the comment section? You can do that. Sometimes the comment section is a cesspool, but I also value your responses. So pick a starter for the Niners and Kyle Shanahan's offense this upcoming season. You want to go with Jimmy Garoppolo because you feel as though he helps lead the Niners in this Super Bowl window that's open right now? Or do you want to go with the untapped potential in Trey Lance, who I think could make the Niners offense even better and more explosive this upcoming year? I'm going to type my TL. You can disagree with me if you want. You can type your JG. Now, the 49ers Report can be watched and found on YouTube, but also we are available on Rumble. And currently, right now, we have 320 people following us for more exclusive content and exclusive live shows, which we publish on Rumble, in addition to all of the videos that you can find on YouTube. But can we get to 420 Rumble followers by 420? Look, we're talking San Francisco. We're talking about California. I know a lot of you are excited for 420 later this week, and I'm excited to get to 420 followers on Rumble. How do you do that? You plug in that link at the bottom of your screen, rumble.com/49erstv, and when you're there, hit that green subscribe button so we can get the 420 subscribers by 420. Next up on the docket for today's show, let's get to the latest on Deebo Samuel. Obviously, he's unhappy with his current contract situation. He's going into the final year of his rookie deal, in which he is set to make a base salary of less than $4 million. And considering how great he was last year, that's a bargain for the team, but it's also way too cheap for how valuable Deebo is to this offense. That's why he wants to get paid, especially when you look across the landscape of the NFL, as we've seen all of these wide receivers land some record-breaking contracts like Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, and Stephon Diggs. So Adam Schefter reported this early on Monday. Take a look at the timestamp there. 4 o'clock a.m. Adam Schefter up and at it early in the morning, probably still regretting that just awful tweet that he sent out about Dwayne Haskins. But Schefter saying this, second-round picks that include wide receivers Deebo Samuel, A.J. Brown, Terry McLaurin of the Washington Commanders are not expected to participate in their team's on-field off-season programs because they want new contracts at a time this offseason when wide receiver deals have exploded. Tennessee's offseason program opens up today on Monday. San Francisco's, on the other hand, is on Tuesday. But this is an issue that hangs over these players, their teams, and this draft. Teams will have the option to extend these players' contracts or explore trades for them. So Adam Schefter kind of said it in the tweet, but all throughout NFL history, especially recently with the player empowerment era, we've seen this taking place. This is commonplace for players, not just wide receivers, at all positions, going into the final years of their rookie contracts or going into the final years of their general contracts, even if it's a second or third contract, for some of these players to hold out in OTAs and sometimes in training camp to put pressure on the organization to make the message clear to the organization that I want to get paid and I want a new contract. With millions of dollars on the table, Deebo Samuel doesn't want to risk injury throughout OTAs, and I see where he's coming from. He was the most valuable player in the league last year outside of quarterbacks with his ability to impact games through the air and on the ground. He had a historic season, the most rushing touchdowns in the history of the game for a wide receiver, but he impacted games through the air as well. He's emerged as one of the best offensive weapons that we've seen in modern NFL history, and he doesn't want to play under a price tag without long-term security on that contract that comes in and checks in at less than $4 million. So Deebo Samuel wants to get paid, and I do not blame him at all for holding out of OTAs because he doesn't want to risk getting injured, a severe injury which would then impact him financially for the rest of his life and the rest of his NFL career. Also, I want to touch on this with Deebo Samuel. Over the weekend, Deebo took to social media, put out a video, and mentioned that people have been DMing him, death threats, and awful, awful messages. For all of you who actually embark on all of that madness on social media, you are the literal worst. You are literal scum. And the funny thing about these people who are keyboard thugs and keyboard bullies, they say these things online and in the comment section, and they slide in Deebo Samuel's DMs, and they call him a fake Niner for holding out. He's not true to his team because he wants a new contract. The funny thing about it is you never actually say any of these things to Deebo Samuel in person. If you saw Deebo Samuel in person after sending him a death threat or an awful message on social media, you know what you would do? All of those keyboard bullies, you would actually pose for a picture with Deebo Samuel. You would take a picture of him, and you would talk to him about how much you love what he's done in a Niners uniform. But on social media and on the internet, you try to act like a tough guy and say these absolutely ridiculous things to these athletes who are also people, and you don't consider the fact that, yeah, they actually have emotions too. But the good thing for Deebo, he didn't let it get to him. And when he balls out and signs that contract extension with San Francisco in the next coming months, hey, maybe he gets in your good graces again, but be better as a society. Are you cool with Deebo not attending OTAs as they kick off on Tuesday? Let me know in the comments section. Would love to hear from you. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Another appreciation and thank you for getting us to 58,000 subs, 60K coming up. We're doing things that have never been done here on the Niners Report, and we're only getting started, so we appreciate you.